Whether you're aiming to run your first marathon or simply looking to build endurance, improve aerobic fitness, and establish a consistent running routine, this plan will help you to get there. If you haven't already, go ahead and like, subscribe, and click the link in the description below to download your free beginner marathon training plan. Then follow along as I walk you through how to execute and customize the training plan to fit your weekly schedule. As a first timer attempting the marathon, 20 weeks is just enough time to develop the endurance you need to cover the distance, and that's how I designed the training plan. The first 4 weeks of the plan includes 3 runs, a strength training day devoted to lower body and core strengthening, and 3 rest days per week, with the option of replacing some of the rest days with brisk walks or cross training. The rest of the plan includes 4 runs and 3 rest days per week, also with the option of replacing some rest days with brisk walks, strength training, or cross training. All the runs are time-based because prescribing runs by time makes the training more effective for all runners, so everyone gets a similar training stimulus regardless of running pace. The exception is the long run because they're about building the endurance you need to cover the marathon distance, so those are prescribed by distance. Before you start the program, you should be able to run about 3 miles or 5 kilometers without too much trouble. Also, it's important to start each run, regardless of the intensity, with a few minutes of dynamic mobility warm-up just to loosen up your joints, activate key muscles, and ease your body into the movement. It doesn't have to be long. 3 to 5 minutes of leg swings, hip circles, and walking lunges is enough to get you ready to run. Then spend the first 3 to 5 minutes of each run in Zone 1 before gradually building up to Zone 2. As you follow the plan, you see different types of runs. Foundation runs are easy, steady runs done in Zone 2. They build aerobic endurance and reinforce good running habits. Fast finish runs starts easy, then finish strong with several minutes in Zone 3, teaching your body to push late in a run, just like on race day. Tempo runs include a mix of Zone 2 and Zone 3 work. They train you to hold a faster pace comfortably. Long runs are the cornerstone of this plan. They gradually increase in distance to build the endurance and mental resilience needed to cover the full marathon distance. Intervals are short bursts at high intensities with rest in between to improve speed and efficiency. Few repetitions are short, intense, uphill efforts that build leg strength, power, and running form. They're typically done in Zone 5 with full recovery between reps. When the plan calls for Zone 5 efforts, don't worry if your heart rate doesn't quite reach that zone. Most of these reps are very short, about 1 minute or less, and your heart rate simply may not have the time to catch up. Give it your best Zone 5 effort, but don't worry about the heart rate number on your watch. There are 4 phases to the training plan. Phase 1 is base training, covering weeks 1 through 12. The goal of the base training phase is to build aerobic endurance, establish running consistency, and develop foundational strength without excessive fatigue. The runs are mostly done in Zone 2 to promote fat utilization and aerobic efficiency. Gradually, intensity is introduced through strides, few repetitions, and short intervals to build leg strength, resilience, and running economy. This phase lays the fitness groundwork and base endurance needed for the more demanding workouts that follow in the later weeks. Phase 2 is progression training, spanning weeks 13 to 16. The goal of this phase is to build race-specific strength and stamina. You're going to shift from shorter hill sprints and intervals to longer, sustained efforts at higher intensities, particularly Zone 4. Long runs peak with distances up to 29 kilometers, and it includes 2 half-marathon distance runs to simulate race day. This phase pushes your fitness towards marathon readiness. Phase 3 is peak training, covering weeks 17 to 19. This is the most demanding part of the plan, where your training reaches maximum intensity and volume. Long runs peak at 32 kilometers, and mid-week sessions include extended Zone 4 intervals and longer Zone 3 tempo efforts. One key workout in this phase is the marathon simulator run in week 18. 3 kilometers at Zone 2, followed by 23 kilometers at Zone 3. It's designed to mimic race effort and build confidence for marathon day. The goal of this phase is to build fatigue resistance and sharpen your ability to sustain efforts deep into the race. This phase emphasizes specificity by training your body and mind to handle the exact demands of race day, both in duration and intensity. It's your final preparation block before tapering begins. Phase 4 is the taper, which is the last week before race day. The taper week is about reducing accumulated fatigue, sharpening mental focus, and restoring energy so you're physically and mentally primed for peak performance on race day. In this final week, your training volume drops significantly to help your body recover from the high mileage of peak training. The runs are shorter and easier, but they still include light intervals, strikes, aerobic work, just to keep your legs activated. This is also the time when you should try to reduce overall stress, both physical and mental, so you arrive at the start line in peak form. The base and progression training phases are structured with 3 weeks of increasing volume, followed by a week of reduced volume for recovery. The peak phase, however, is structured with 2 weeks of increasing volume, followed by a recovery week. The recovery weeks are designed to allow your body to absorb the training load, reduce accumulated fatigue, and promote adaptation before the next build cycle. If your marathon is more than 20 weeks away, you can stay in base training for the extra weeks by repeating the final weeks of that phase. Only move into progression training when you're 8 weeks out from race day. For example, if your marathon is 24 weeks away, complete weeks 1 to 12 of base training, then repeat weeks 9 to 12 to fill the gap before starting progression training. That gives you a full 24-week build towards your goal race. But what if your goal race is 35, 40, or even 50 weeks away and you want to start building fitness early? You can still use this plan. Start with week 1 now, and when you're 22 weeks out from race day, take a 2-week break, then restart the plan from week 1 at the 20-week mark. Each time you repeat the plan, your fitness builds on the previous cycle. You start stronger, run further at the same time, recover faster, and complete your long runs more comfortably. Focus on improving form, finishing stronger, and holding a slightly faster pace at the same heart rate. Assuming that you work from Mondays to Fridays and get the weekends off, the weekly long runs are scheduled on Sundays. I know that's not the case for everyone, but even if it is, other life responsibilities may occasionally require you to reschedule your runs. So I'll walk you through how to customize this plan to fit your life while still holding on to the structure that makes it effective. Feel free to move the runs around to suit your weekly schedule, but keep these key principles in mind. 1. Always prioritize the long run. If you need to reduce your runs from 4 to 3 per week, the long run is the one you should always keep because it's a cornerstone of marathon training. 2. Don't place long runs too close together. Keep at least 5 days between them to allow proper recovery and adaptation. 3. Schedule a rest day or an easy walk after long runs. Although not high intensity, long runs are high volume and have a high training load. A rest day or a short and low intensity form of cross training should follow. For example, a 15-minute walk can improve blood flow and circulation, which flushes out metabolic waste and reduces muscle inflammation. It can also ease stiffness and accelerate recovery without adding additional training stress. It'll help you bounce back faster, so I highly recommend it. 4. Avoid stacking rest days back to back. The rest days should be spread out to let your body absorb training while maintaining consistency and help you recover before your next run. So space them out across the week. 5. Avoid stacking high training load days back to back. Cue repetitions, intervals, and long runs are all workouts with high training load, and they should be spaced out either with a rest day or an easy foundation run built between them so your body has time to adapt while preventing fatigue and injury. 6. Strength training. Lower body and core strength training are key for injury prevention and running efficiency. When scheduling these sessions, avoid placing them before long runs or hard workouts, as fatigue can impact your performance. There's a link in the description to a video courtesy of Brody Sharp that shows you the most effective strength training exercises for runners. 7. Cross training. This includes other forms of aerobic training like cycling, rowing, swimming, skiing, or using an elliptical. On rest days, recovery should always come first. But if you choose to cross-train, keep it at zone 2 or below and limit sessions to 30 to 40 minutes maximum. You can also use this time for upper body strength work. If you need a break from the impact of running, you can occasionally replace a run with low-impact cross-training. Just match the prescribed duration and intensity. For example, if you're swapping this fast-finish run for cycling, do 35 minutes in zone 2, followed by 5 minutes in zone 3. As a rule, try not to replace your weekly long runs with cross-training because it's too important to skip. Now let's look at how you can customize your training week. Say you need to move your long run in week 10 of base training from Sunday to Friday. That's totally fine since your previous long run was a Sunday before, giving you a 5-day gap. The day after your long run, which is Saturday, should be a rest day or a brisk walk. With Sunday now open, you can move your fast finish run to that day. Keeping your foundation run on Thursday is okay since it's low intensity and it won't really interfere with the long run. Alternatively, you could shift the foundation run to Tuesday, do your interval session on Wednesday, and rest on Thursday. In this setup, avoid lower body strength training on Thursday to stay fresh for your long run on Friday. Instead, upper body or light cross training at zone 2 or below is fine. This program uses a 5-zone model based on percentages of lactate threshold heart rate, abbreviated as LTHR, rather than maximum heart rate, and that's for good reason. Maximum heart rate formulas are often inaccurate since individual physiology varies very widely. While testing maximum heart rate in the field is possible, it's intense, stressful, and can be risky, especially if you're not yet in top shape. In contrast, a field test to determine your LTHR is much easier, safer, and still gives you an accurate foundation for setting your training zones. There are 2 LTHR field test options you can use. Let's call them Test A and Test B. Test A is shorter and more practical, especially for newer or recreational runners. Test B is the industry standard. It's longer and more intense. I recommend starting with Test A before beginning the program, then repeating the test with Test B around 10 to 12 weeks as your fitness improves. Don't worry if the results differ slightly. LTHR can increase as you get fitter due to improved efficiency and cardiovascular adaptation. For Test A, warm up thoroughly with a few minutes of dynamic mobility, followed by 10 to 15 minutes of easy jogging. Start in Zone 1 and gradually build up to Zone 2 and finish with a few short strides. Then run as fast as you can sustain for 10 minutes. It's not a sprint, but a hard, steady effort at the highest intensity you can hold for the full duration. Your average heart rate over those 10 minutes is your estimated LTHR. For Test B, you warm up the same way as Test A with a few minutes of dynamic mobility followed by 10 to 15 minutes of easy jogging. Again, start in Zone 1 and gradually build into Zone 2 and finish with a few short strides. Then run as fast as you can sustain, but this time for 30 minutes. Again, it's not a sprint, but a hard, steady effort at the highest intensity you can hold for the entire 30 minutes. Your average heart rate for the final 20 minutes of the 30-minute run is your estimated LTHR. Once you have your LTHR, you can calculate your zones based on a table below the training plan in the same PDF. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Happy training and see you in the next video.